The massive Keldari ship slipped silently through the void of space, its sleek metallic hull reflecting the distant light of stars. Commander Vexilith stood tall on the bridge, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he gazed at the view screen. The blue-green planet grew larger as they approached. Earth, a world the Keldari had visited long ago when the dominant species were nothing more than primitive apes learning to use sticks as tools. "Status report," Vexilith ordered, his voice a melodic hum that echoed slightly in the circular bridge. Science Officer Trelnock looked up from her console, her large amber eyes blinking rapidly with excitement. "The planet appears much changed, Commander. Our sensors detect artificial satellites, space debris, and—" She paused, double-checking. Her readings, energy signatures inconsistent with a pre-spaceflight civilization. Vexilith frowned. This was unexpected. The Keldari Exploration Directive had catalogued Earth 500,000 years ago as a potential candidate for future contact, perhaps in another 1,000,000 years. A navigational error during their return journey from the Andromeda Galaxy had brought them back to this solar system far earlier than planned. "Show me visual," Vexilith commanded. The main screen shifted to a high-resolution image of Earth, where there should have been vast, untouched wilderness with perhaps a few primitive settlements. There were sprawling cities, massive road networks, and clear signs of advanced industry. The oceans teemed with large vessels, and the night side of the planet glowed with artificial light. "Impossible," First Officer Zurket whispered from his station. "They were using stone tools when we last observed them." Vexilith's skin rippled, with patterns of concern, changing from its normal blue to a worried purple. How could they advance so quickly? No species in our records has ever evolved this rapidly. As the Keldari ship entered the outer reaches of Earth's solar system, passing the orbit of Neptune, their sensors began picking up directed transmissions. Radio waves, laser communications, quantum entanglement signals. The space around Earth was alive with the chatter of a technologically advanced civilization. "They've spotted us," Trelnock announced suddenly, her voice rising in pitch. "Multiple tracking systems have locked onto our position." Vexilith's skin flashed yellow with alarm. "That's not possible. Our cloaking technology is beyond anything a young species could detect." "Nevertheless, Commander, they are tracking us with precision," Zurket confirmed, his long fingers dancing across his control panel. "And there's more. I'm detecting defense platforms throughout the system. Weapons platforms on their moon, on Mars, and in orbital stations." The Keldari had never encountered such a situation before. Their standard protocol for finding an unexpectedly advanced civilization was to withdraw and report back to the High Council. But something about Earth's unnatural acceleration gave Vexilith pause. "Maintain course but ready jump engines," he ordered. "I want to know more before we leave." On Earth, at the Lunar Defense Command Center, Major Samantha Wells stared at her monitor with intense focus. The alien ship had appeared at the edge of their detection grid exactly as predicted. The long-range scanners, designed based on recovered alien technology, were tracking the vessel's every move. "Colonel Porter," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "The visitors have arrived. They're following the projected approach vector." Colonel Frank Porter strode quickly to her station, his weathered face set in a grim expression. At 55, he had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. "Are they scanning us?" "Yes, sir. Extensive scans. They're trying to be subtle about it, but our systems are detecting their probes." Frank nodded and pressed a button on his wrist communicator. "This is Colonel Porter. First Contact Protocol Alpha is now active. I repeat, First Contact Protocol Alpha is active." Throughout the solar system, human military forces went to high alert. On Earth, government leaders were escorted to secure facilities. The news spread quickly through official channels. The visitors had returned. In Geneva, at the United Nations First Contact Center, Dr. Olivia Martinez received the alert and immediately began final preparations. Her team of linguists and xenobiologists had spent decades preparing for this day, working from fragments of alien language and biology recovered from ancient sites. "They're earlier than we expected," her assistant Ben Rogers noted as they rushed through the corridors of the massive underground facility. Only by about 50 years, Olivia replied with a small smile. After 500,000 years of waiting, I'd say our timing was pretty good. The Keldari ship continued its approach, now passing the orbit of Mars. Commander Vexilith grew increasingly disturbed by what they were seeing. The red planet showed clear signs of terraforming, atmospheric processors, water reclamation systems, and small cities under massive domes. This level of planetary engineering should have been far beyond the capabilities of a species so young. I'm detecting artificial structures on several of Jupiter's moons as well, Trelnock reported, her voice now tinged with genuine fear. And energy readings suggest they have antimatter production facilities on their moon. Vexilith made a decision. Launch a stealth probe toward their planet. I need to know how they advance so quickly. Moments after the small probe detached from the Keldari ship, alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple defense systems have targeted the probe, Zurket shouted. Energy weapons powering up. Before Vexilith could react, the probe vanished from their sensors, destroyed by weapons that the Keldari had believed to be centuries beyond human capability. Impossible, Vexilith whispered. Their weapons technology is on par with our own. Then, to the shock of the entire Keldari crew, a transmission reached their ship. It was directed specifically at them, bypassing their communication security protocols as if they didn't exist. Even more surprising was the language, perfect Keldari, spoken with only a slight accent. Greetings, returning visitors. Welcome back to Earth. We've been expecting you for quite some time. On the Lunar Command Center, Samantha allowed herself a small smile as the translation matrix successfully delivered their message to the alien ship. Colonel Porter stood behind her, watching the main screen where the alien vessel hung against the blackness of space. Do you think they're surprised? She asked. Frank nodded slowly. 500,000 years ago, they found primitive apes. Today they've found equals. He paused, his eyes hardening slightly. Or perhaps more than equals. The aliens had no idea that their brief visit long ago had changed the course of human history forever. They couldn't know that the observation, outpost they'd left behind had been discovered by early humans, that the knowledge within had sparked a technological revolution, or that humanity had unified with a single purpose, to be ready when the stars came calling again. The Keldari had returned expecting to find primitive creatures. Instead, they found Earth waiting for them, armed and ready. And from the silence now coming from the alien ship, it was clear they were terrified. Commander Vexilith's skin rippled with patterns of alarm as the human message echoed through the bridge of the Keldari ship. How could these creatures know their language,